Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. As always, beautiful Monday night, beautiful winning Monday night. That means there's no greater time, no better chance to hop in, enjoy a little bit of Bearcat talk, rehashing yet another victory. It was a 31-21 brawl, if you will, over that team down there in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, that is. We're going to dive all the way into that. But without further ado, I'm going to welcome in two guys, my pals, my friends, my good dudes who know how to talk about the brawl that took place in Tulsa. None other than Mr. Aaron Smith and Chad Brendel. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing all right.
That's the best I got for you today, brother. I am here.
Here's in the clear in my eyes. So that works. Aaron, you're doing all right?
I'm doing all right, yeah.
Okay. Well, then now we got to say it. Mr. Ryan Royer. Ryan, my friend, my comrade, will give it to you as well. I've never met you in real life, but hopefully it happens soon. Without further ado, Ryan Royer, how are we?
Doing great. Let's meet up at homecoming. Come down to the game.
I'll be there.
Maybe a little hug, maybe a little kiss. I don't know.
I give him a hug.
Usually the sus comes out about 9:45, but we'll have to see if you're lucky. Come Saturday right. Around 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock. We'll see what happens. But, I tell you what, there's a lot of things that were broken on Saturday night, since past Saturday night. And I don't know if it's all what was on the field. Some crazy shenanigans going on off it. And who knows, maybe some cars were demolished in the process. If your car was one of those cars and you live in Cincinnati, you can head over to Danco Transmissions. Go ahead and get it checked out. Get it fixed up. Get an oil change if you need to, by the way. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco, Joe, we love you. Mention the Bearcats. Mention Chad, Aaron, Ryan, and in our future hug. Mention that. Get $10 off your next oil change, 10% off your next fixing. So without further ado, guys, man, Saturday night happened.
I got a question first.
Yeah.
First time, and we've been in a lot of hospitals.
Yeah.
But for the first time today, I walk into Kelly's new hospital room, and she's got a mini fridge.
Oh.
Like a good sized mini fridge in her hospital room.
Okay.
I got to fill that thing with beer, right?
There's a couple bevies in there. I think anything goes, right?
They told us we're probably going to be in there for a couple days.
Did they say anything goes? It's your fridge. Use it as
well.
You
I think, yeah. I mean, it's our fridge. It's her fridge.
Better be.
We can do with it as we please. I think the problem is going to be getting it past the security guard at the front desk. So do I load up a backpack?
Oh yeah, come on, freshman year in college. Get the Natty Light in the backpack.
Yeah,
nice Natty rack. Sneak it right past the RA. Come on, man. Or just like Calhoun Hall.
Yeah, or
Camel
you can go the typical. I don't know if you've seen the viral video going on out there. There was a fan at an Alabama game. He snuck in an entire half gallon of Tito's in his pants, and it just looked like he had a rather handsome package, if you will. So just maybe that's worth a try. I used to do that back in the day.
Yeah, but I mean that's simple stuff. Like you don't need a fridge for that. You just need some ice.
True.
I'm talking about filling this fridge.
Some beer.
Well, yeah. And then there was the cleaning lady. I told her of my grand plan, and she's like, "You gonna bring some tequila and some Mad Dog?" I was like, "Whoa, what kind of party we trying to have here, lady?"
Balling on a budget.
She's like, if we trying to party, we trying to party. I was like, all right, damn. Say, get a bottle of Mad Dog at the UDF around the corner.
Wow. Hugs, maybe kisses, Mad Dog, unit. I mean, we've already filled you all up in the first 4 minutes and 20 seconds. We haven't really.
With the mini fridge, maybe we'll tailgate in Kelly's room. You can see campus. I almost took a picture of it today. She's got a gorgeous view of campus right outside her window on the 14th floor at Good Sam, which is, right there around the corner. You overlook the whole thing. I was like, this is kind of it's a double room. It used to be, they used to use those double rooms where you'd have like just a curtain that separates. Those were miserable. They don't do that anymore. So now she's got like a suite. Like you could fit a cot in there, I'm pretty sure, or like one of those beanbag beds. Edward 40.
Can you imagine Chad playing Edward 40 hands?
Only one way to find out.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think maybe we just tailgate in Kelly's room.
It's a possibility.
It's right there.
Possibility. That works out.
All right. Carry on.
Edward 40 hands. We all might have wanted to be playing Edward 40 hands while watching what was taking place in Tulsa on Saturday night. And to add on, I also got a child this weekend, so it's just another thing added on top of that. So, man, it was a full house at the place.
You had a child this weekend.
Yeah, well, it's got 4 legs and quietly barks. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean.
I was like, isn't this something over the past 9 months? Maybe you wanted to tell us.
I like to keep it quiet here on the pod, but without further ado, we've got to mention the game on Saturday night. We're going to dive into it in its entirety, but a few days have passed. At about this time 2 nights ago, I believe there was already a couple of personal foul penalties thrown, a couple of after the whistle hits being displayed on both sides of the football. I just got to open forum to you guys. Now that everything is settled down, what's your main takeaway from that 31-21, somewhat of a beautiful debacle that happened down there in Tulsa? Start with Aaron. Aaron,
you're directing the show here. You're the point guard. We got to know who you're passing to.
Sometimes you throw a no look, and the playmaker's got to make it happen.
Sometimes no looks are not the pass you want to throw.
Good players catch no looks, but Aaron, go ahead.
It was a physical game. I feel like the refs let it get out of control, largely in the first half, and then in the second half decided, we're going to try and control this game, and then flags were flying everywhere. Even more so than they were in the first half. But it was what we've grown accustomed to down in Tulsa, at home against Tulsa, where it's going to be an ugly physical matchup between two teams that genuinely don't like each other. And that delivered for sure.
Ryan, is that a sense that you got that Tulsa is just kind of hates Cincinnati, for lack of better phrases?
And we kind of found that out, really, that 2020 AAC championship game. Like, wow, these guys just for some reason hate our asses. And they came out and they played dirty. And we're like, all right, like, we got to respond. And so we had that in our mind last year. Same affair, just dirty. They'll do anything they can. They'll push it to the limits, whether it be on blocking after the whistle. And you saw it again last night, like two teams that don't like each other, that are just responding to dirty ass play. And I don't know. It's just Tulsa. It's literally it's just like an unspoken thing at this point. It's like, we knew they were going to be like that. It's exactly what they did. And I'm just glad we won, but I really wanted it to be an ass whooping. I wanted it to be a 30-point ass whooping so bad. Because every year it's like we could have did that to them, and they just came out and just punched us in the mouth. And I wanted us to go out there and do that. But a win's a win. We're out of that shithole, and we're back in Cincy.
I have to ask, how much did you enjoy seeing number 47 for them, the tight end, who was the one that's the dirtiest of them all?
Yes.
Be the guy that blew the game. Be the guy that blew the game as Ivan broke up that pass in the end zone.
I'll say his name, Ethan Hall. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, he has been like the biggest prick at like just the worst. I don't think you understand. Like this guy.
How do you really feel? How do you really feel?
This guy
really feel.
I mean, not that he had like a target on him in terms of we were trying to go hurt him, but like we knew where he was at all times because we're like, all right, you got to watch out for this guy. He might try to blow your kneecaps out, or he might try to like tackle you. And it's just good. It's good to see a little justice done, a little karma. But I mean, the guy plays hard. He does. I respect that, but I think he's got to play a little cleaner, and maybe he wouldn't have so many guys gunning for him.
Well, yeah. Well, one of the plays where it was offsetting personal foul penalties, he was. If you watch the replay, he's on top of Brian Threats. and he throws a complete bow into his face, and it's just like man, whatever happens in the pile happens in the pile. I think that's kind of an unwritten rule in football, but when it's open like that, that's a next level kind of dirty player.
Yeah, you don't play the game like that, even in the pile. I'm sure you've seen the videos of that Clemson guy. He liked to grab and put his hands in places that he wasn't supposed to.
Oh yeah.
But that's more on the funny side of things. I never did that myself. I'm not too interested in.
Never gave anybody an oil check.
No, the old Urban Meyer.
But that's just straight dirty.
Old Urban Meyer.
That's dirty what he did to threats. That's that you can't have that in the game. And I'm glad he got caught, but somehow threats got a flag too. So just glad we don't have to see that guy anymore.
Yeah.
Don't play him ever again, right? Ever.
Never.
If they schedule for a bowl, like if somehow like they come up as a Big 12 opponent in a bowl game, you just we're good this year. You take the year off.
Well, the thing is, you re-listen to. I listened to a couple of their player press conferences after the game, and they're like, we're just excited for the opportunity to potentially play Cincinnati again at the end of the year. So they already have their sights on the potential AAC championship game coming back to Cincinnati and playing the Bearcats again. I tell you what, it's a game like you mentioned, felt like it could have had the chance to blow out because it really did a few times. You talk about the Tyler Scott score that was removed, which I don't know how you can really overturn that. It looked like he kind of had it and didn't see much movement of the ball on all the angles that they showed, although the camera angles were always sparse and maybe they had a few that we didn't even see. But, he had that removed, and then Josh Wiley had his touchdown removed later on, and then the missed field goal. That would have made the score 21-7 or even 17-7 with the made field goal. And then maybe things start to feel a little different. But, it seemed like there was a couple of times where they could have stretched the game out, and either Tulsa was there for the call, or it was a missed field goal, or a touchdown catch that was literally a foot out of bounds, or maybe, one that was bobbled in the end zone. It just seemed as if they were one step away or one tiny inch away, and game of inches in football.
Yeah, 100%. If you just look at what it was like last year, the near heart attack that almost happened with that game, they hang around. They're a tough football team. I don't know if I could call them super well coached, because for some reason they love to play a little bit dirtier. They love to hold on offense. I don't know how good a coaching that is, but they play hard. Yeah, they play hard. They play physical, and any team that does that, they're going to stick around. And we give them opportunities. We're doing them favors by, that same thing we're talking about, that complementary football. Defense comes out firing. Offense does a little well, then we miss a field goal. And it's really big being able to, if all three are clicking right from the jump, that's huge for momentum. That's huge for being able to put distance between a team like we did with Indiana. And a lot of teams are going to fold, but credit to Tulsa. They hang in there. They're tough. They hate us. They want to be in every game with us. They want to beat us. But, it's good to just win. But still, I just wanted it to be an ass whooping so bad. It was there. It was close. But it's another chance to learn, get better.
Do you guys think when the team saw Davis Brin head out there on the first team offense, and he kind of limped out there to begin the game, do you think that kind of lit a little fire in the defensive line and the linebackers kind of knowing, hey, he's out there, that's their gunslinger. We know we're going to have a chance to really, really get after him in the backfield, because he's not going to be as mobile as he was literally a statue in the pocket.
Yeah, they certainly got after him, and he had very little time back there. I think 11 sacks was tied for the lead or something thereabouts for this season in NCAA football.
I think it was
definitely up there.
Yeah, I think it's the lead. I think it's since 2006 or something.
Yeah,
it was the most, tied for the most.
Ryan, we talked about this a little bit coming into the season, and we've touched on it some on these shows. But was that the perfect example of, everybody wondered, what's Cincinnati going to do to replace Mailbag? What are they going to do to replace that speed coming off the edge? And we thought the answer was going to be Jawan Briggs, the nose tackle position, collapsing the pocket. And it felt like that was the impetus for almost every one of those sacks, is he had nowhere to step up. And the ends are crashing in, and he doesn't have anywhere to go to let the rush go by him. They're doing it with power.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Last year, I think everybody wondered, why aren't we getting home? Because there weren't a lot of sacks last year, or at least maybe not as many as people thought with how good that defensive line was. They were getting a lot of pressure, but they weren't getting home. What are you seeing in terms of why this team, they're number one in the country in sacks? How are they getting home without their best pass? One of their best pass rushers in 2 decades goes to the NFL, and they're better. What are you seeing?
So when you have that power attack, and if you look across the board, you got Jawan, Noah Potter, Corleone,
Jabari.
Eric Phillips,
Jabari. Yeah,
Justin
those
Watson.
guys are all, they all have great power moves. They're all physical, like press the point of attack, hands on, hands up high, drive the guy right in the quarterback. Whereas and you got those big guys in the middle being able to demand double teams. So these guys they can't chip and then go help out with the ends with their tackle buddies. They can't do that. So being able to just compress and squeeze the pocket, whereas like last year, sometimes you just have Mailbag who could just beat you with speed, and sometimes that tackle might be able to just push you right by, and he'll be able to get help from his guard, and he knows he has that inside help, so he can set even faster. And now when you just got 3 guys who can just dominate, we got guys who can dominate double teams. Look, Corleone's living in the backfield, Briggs living in the backfield, guard and center on him, getting 2-3 yard penetration. That's huge. That if you can utilize your power moves and you got every guy out there, all 3 of them can beat double teams and can compress the pocket, that's just going to lead to sacks. That's sack city. I think it's better than speed. At sometimes you can make that argument because you can just compress and there's nowhere to go.
Well, and the rotation at this point is what, 7 guys, 8 guys deep when you include Duvernay and Damo coming back. So, think of how fresh the legs are by comparison with the offensive line when you have guys rotating in every series or however often they're subbing in at this point. And again, just with the power, and you almost feel bad for the offensive line because by the 4th quarter, they're dog tired.
Yeah, 100%. And Tulsa, they make their money with that, with aggressive, guys who they're maulers. They're big. That's their style. That's how they played us every year. And it just shows how much more dominant we are in that power rush, that we're going up against one of the best mauling O-lines. That's their bread and butter. That's what they live on. And we're just absolutely destroying them, and had one of the most successful pass rush days in recent history.
Let's run some numbers by you, Ryan. And this is a defense that was supposed to fall off significantly, right? They lost too many guys, too much talent going to the NFL. And by the way, talent going to the NFL and playing really well in their rookie seasons. Brian Cook with a big play last night. Kobe had a big play yesterday. Sauce had 9 targets or 7 targets and gave up 9 yards.
He's playing like an all-pro.
He
didn't miss a beat.
He's a top 5 corner in the league immediately.
Yeah.
I just told you where they were in sacks. 23 sacks, first in the country. Where do you think they are in tackles for loss in the country? They have 50.
Top 5.
Number 1.
There we go.
Yards per carry allowed. This is a defense. The 3-3-5 can't stop the run, right?
Some would say.
That's the knock. 2.39 yards per carry. Where do you think that is in the country?
Third.
You are exactly right. That's a hell of a guess. Opponent's completion percentage, 50.6%. Number 5 in the country. Opponent's quarterback rating, 106.83, 13th in the country. And yards per attempt, 5.9, 17th in the country. The demise of the Cincinnati defense was greatly exaggerated. What are you seeing from Tressel? Because he seems like, are they letting Ivan Pace just go? Like, did you see the one where he turned around like he was going to run backwards and then he turned back around, sprinted after the, like he's just like he's playing pickup ball at middle linebacker. It's crazy.
Yeah, like we'll set up a lot of rush packages to be able to individualize certain guys that we think we want to get one-on-ones with. We want to get misdirections. And like we did that a lot for Mailbag last year. We did that a lot for Beavers. Sometimes Joel too, towards the end of the year with his recent pass rush success. And a guy like Ivan, who's just balling on a whole different level. I mean, they're gonna tee it off. And Coach Tressel, Coach Hitchler, Scruggs. Well, it was Scruggs last year, but he's not there. But they did a great. Coach Fickle is heavily involved in just very creative D-line stunts, very creative rushing patterns, unique, exotic rush packages that really just can confuse the O-line. And even sometimes it's just we don't even need to confuse them. We just need to get one-on-one. And the way all of our guys have been playing, it's just if anyone's one-on-one, like we're winning. We're winning that one. That's how good this defense is. It's deep. It just shows how well coached it is because, yeah, we coached all those guys up to go to the NFL. But there's a whole other group of guys who are getting all that coaching too. They might just not be the ones out there with all the reps on Saturday, but all those guys that you're seeing succeed right now, they got their asses coached off. They worked their asses off, and this is exactly what you'd expect. And I'm not surprised. I'm super happy for them too. Like so excited because everyone wanted to count the defense out, say we lost too many guys, and it just shows you just how much they improved, how good they're playing just as a team too. Everyone's stepping up. I love it. So they're only going to get better too. So it's going to be a lot of content.
Survived last year. Freeman left, and that was supposed to hurt them, but they survived last year because that was all his guys. Tressel's putting his mark on this thing, and you mentioned Scruggs, Walt Stewart, man. Walt deserves a ton of credit because that defensive line looks as good as it's ever looked right now.
I've never got to meet Coach Stewart because he got there. Man. Yeah, I wish I could. He's obviously doing great things. But I'll tell you what, even though Freeman left, like people need to understand how much Coach Fickle is involved with the defense. Like some head coaches, they like to be like a manager, sit back and kind of – Coach Fickle is a defensive coordinator / head coach. Not to take anything away from Tressel and even Coach Hitchler.
Sure.
Yeah, Coach Fickle is all over that, and he was all over it when Freeman was here. That's why you're not going to see a drop-off. And bringing in Tressel, new, refreshing, very, very intelligent football coach, great football mind. Coach Hitchler, very, very intelligent football coach. Just having, along with Coach Fickle, having everyone being able to collaborate. I mean, you're just seeing, like, it's clicking, it's working. It's a great staff, and they're doing great things.
I don't think it's coincidence if you're an Ohio State fan to wonder, like, maybe why the Ohio State defense has gone downhill over the last 6 years. There's one reason. The guy that was running it, the mastermind, packed up and moved to Clifton, and they've been searching ever since to get that defense on the right track. There's a lot of things that point to how good he has been as a defensive mind for 2+ decades.
There's a reason Urban Meyer kept him. He cleaned house when he came in. Luke Fickle was the only guy that stayed.
Yeah.
Well, and then you can also make the argument there that their offense has just become more high-powered, so the defense is on the field more. But you see the same thing happening with Cincinnati this year, where the offense is on the field sparingly, whether it be the big splash plays that they have or whether it be, difficulties and 3-and-outs and whatnot. The defense is out there when they are, like we're saying, they're performing at the highest of levels. I mean,
they played 2 games last week, basically. They played 2 games last week versus Indiana, 24 points, come right back, against a really physical Tulsa team and played some of the best. I mean, just rushing defense, probably the best rushing I've seen in my 5 years there, hands down. And yeah, it's impressive, and it needs to be celebrated. It needs to be noticed.
Do you think a lot of that has to do with how immobile Bryn was, the strength and the bull rushing techniques of the offensive line just really collapses the pocket, and he has nowhere to flush out because he can't walk, A of all, and then B of all, it's just a lot of people with strength getting after the quarterback. I mean, it seems as if when it's more of a mobile quarterback, that might run into where you do need Ivan and Wilson Huber kind of rushing a little bit more.
Yeah, there's an argument there, and we're gonna have mobile quarterbacks we're gonna play this year, and we could put that to the test. But I don't think it has as much of effect as some may try to argue. Like the defense, we know, like if he's in there, we know how we want to attack him. We game planned it, and we succeeded for a reason. And we're gonna do certain rushes. We're gonna have certain spies, different guys on the quarterback, and try to create different rush lanes for different quarterbacks. And I'm assuming that's what they did for Bryn, because they're all smart coaches and they know what they're doing. So we'll see later on versus mobile quarterbacks too, but I think they're not going to have any problems.
Now let's take a look at kind of more individual defense, as we've mentioned throughout. Ivan Pace kind of dominates the headlines, but I think we started to see a little bit of the old Deshaun Pace from last season. He was kind of flying all over the field, making big plays, had that pick six where finally was able to get in the end zone. You saw he was I feel like he got a little nervous when he got within 5 yards. And
he's like, oh my God, I've never seen this before.
Exactly. So he
what is this?
Right. Where's the end zone? Oh, there it is. But no, he dove in, scored, had a big sack on the next set of downs. It looked like it was getting ready to be kind of his coming out party again this season. He's been really solid, but not really the dominant player that he was last season, statistically, if you will. But still, it seems as if all these players, like you said, are developing, getting better week in and week out, especially Brian Threads is the name I wanted to bring up. Yes, he got, ejected for the targeting call, and you can look into that highlight and that replay any way you want to, but
bullshit.
Yeah,
it does.
They need to get rid of that rule. Just flag them. If anything, if anything, like give him like a half a game suspension if he does it twice. Like
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Like, I think the only issue that I had with that play at all, I guess, is just the fact that it didn't seem he was making a play on the ball, but rather the play solely on the player. And when leading with the crown in that particular instance, I think that's where you can make an argument. That said, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the call that was made, but I think that he
didn't hit him with his helmet.
I understand, but the
crown doesn't matter. He didn't hit him with it.
You just put yourself in that position when you're doing that, though. That's the only issue that I saw with the play.
I agree. It should be penalized to discourage it, but I think you're like just not letting you got to remember, like these guys, we get 12 guaranteed chances to play this game, and
right.
If we had a camera going around all off season, all the shit we have to do, and everyone across the country is working their ass off, and to penalize these guys with like a suspension, I think it's a little over the top. I think penalize maybe on a second offense, then it's like, okay, this guy's a danger to other players. It wasn't just a fluke. Then you could talk about, all right, you can't play the next game. But I think they need to get rid of that. I don't think it does anybody any good.
To answer the question, threats, because it happened in the second half, he will miss the first half of the USF game.
But Ryan's boy Dingle got in, and he was able to make some plays.
Had a little bit of a Dumbo PI, but I could say that about him. He's my boy. He'll agree with me.
But that was a Dumbo, random, just throw the ball up, and hopefully something.
He got confused.
Yeah,
he can't hear out of his left ear. He probably thought that something was going on. I don't know.
Did a fan get him?
No, he was born that way.
Oh,
God's blessing.
Kind of like Donald Little, old basketball player. We heard that from Steve Logan told us that. So yeah, him and him and Donald Little have a little bit in common. But no, Brian Threats, though, it does seem like he's starting to play without thinking. He's flying all over the field.
He's a playmaker, man.
Yeah, he's showing that he can make plays, and he's got that edge to him. It seems like, Fickle loves the guys that have that edge to him. That not necessarily toe the line, but they're going to go out there and make all the plays. And sometimes you get put in situations where you're frustrating the other team, and they kind of target you, as we saw 47 of Tulsa kind of targeted Threats on that one play. But so you see all this development, as you mentioned, and I don't know. It just seems as if the team is cohesively coming together. Defensive line has so much positivity behind them. It's stacking up there with some of the greatest defenses that Cincinnati has had within the past few years and throughout program history. Obviously, last year had all the flashy names and whatnot, but statistically, we're going to look back at this year, and they're going to be right at the top in every single category. As we've already mentioned, sacks, tackles for loss. They're number one in the country with 4 defensive touchdowns right now. It just seems as if this team's kind of just scratching the surface. If they can hone in on penalties and kind of figure that thing out, they might be able to start rewriting some record books so far as it goes in the program.
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen even close to how good this defense can be.
No.
Secondary
is going to get second. You could say like, all right, like the odd man out right here is secondary. Like the D line's been balling, linebackers been playing amazing with pace and just being solid at the other spots with Deshaun and Ty, Huber and Jaheim. Then like you could say, oh, maybe I guess the secondary is the one like position group that maybe hasn't been stacking up as well compared to the other ones. And, those guys, like you said, Threats going to get better. Shep looks good. I think Shep is going to keep getting more and more comfortable. Shep's got that swag to him. He just he's a guy who is good enough to play for a while, but it's been stuck behind just, some of the best ever.
He's been a surprise, pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got Vaughn. Vaughn's just a solid, just a dog. He's been there, played a ton of ball, and I'm telling you, they're just going to keep getting better. Everyone's going to keep growing. Everyone's going to keep getting better. And I just think it's crazy how everything that we talked about versus that happened versus Arkansas. Just if you compare Arkansas to like how they played the last 3 games after that, it's just great. It just shows that they attacked and got better at every single thing they did wrong versus that Arkansas game. And now look at them. They're having an all-time day. They're having an all-time year statistically. Just shows just how good of players, how good of men those guys on that defense are, and how good the coaching staff is.
They beat Arkansas by 2 touchdowns right now.
Yeah. I agree.
I think the movement of Ivan Pace to the middle linebacker, kind of just go out and do whatever you need to do. Move would have definitely stabilized their rushing attack
of the D line.
Yeah, the improvement.
His quote on that was still the best. Yeah, I'm more comfortable at middle linebacker, but when I was a weak side linebacker at Miami, I set the NCAA record for sacks in a game, so I can play either.
I think we play him more like how we play him at Mike, more like how Miami played him at Will. Just kind of way less pass responsible, more rush responsible. Pass responsibility is way more simple. It's way less like man on man. It's way more kind of like play the quarterback, play the windows. You're playing in between the hashes, and then it gives you the option to be able to rush more. And we use the Mike more in different rush schemes. So it's perfect for him, and it was a great call.
I've been impressed, if you're watching him too, how much he's anchoring the defense and making the calls and getting people into the right places. And he's got that like football savant to him, right? Where you can tell he just sees things different than everybody else sees them.
Yeah. Just a football player.
Got that dog in him, baby.
It's like Ryan Royer, just a football player.
Yeah, only the 3s in spring ball just came out.
Yeah, all you can do is dominate when they give you the chance.
Yeah, players make plays, man.
Right, man. That's all you can do.
I mean, that's why it's even more impressive when you see he was the one that broke up the pass to Ethan Hall in the end zone on that 4th down and 1 when they let off the fireworks for the Bearcats and said
What a
thank you.
fantastic way to end the game.
I know. Great way to say thank you for playing the AAC with us and hope you have a great time in the Big 12. You know, they were kind of congratulating us on the big win. But, no, I mean, that goal line stand, sure, didn't have as many indicators and significance as last year's goal line stand did against Tulsa. But I'm sure this team kind of dug deep and they said, hey, we've held this group of people out of the end zone on 8 straight plays last year. Let's go ahead and do it again this season. And they didn't do it on 8 straight plays. They did it on 5 straight plays, but it was still just as special making all the plays right there at the goal line.
Yeah, with a 269-pound running back. Like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
Under 3 yards a carry. Yeah, he played last year. You guys stoned him last year at the goal line.
I know. I forgot. That he was that he was that damn big. That is insane.
Steven Anderson. Yeah. So that Prince guy that was scoring the touchdowns for them, this is his first game back. It was kind of like quiet that he was coming back from an injury, but yeah, that Anderson guy, I can tell he does not like Cincinnati. A couple of times after the play, he would get up and do the little you're smaller than me thing. But
yeah, you're 270 pounds, you freak.
Yeah.
No one's gonna be bigger than you.
Well,
he
also
Derrick
looked like
Henry is like, damn, that's a big dude.
He also looked like he was making like the ankle twist symbol. Like were they? Do you think that's something that was happening in the pile? Like, is there any chance that was going on?
I can't imagine that. We've never had that ever be addressed with us, that the team's ever had a problem with that. I've never seen a guy do that. I've never seen a guy do it in practice. Obviously, I don't think anyone would do that to their own team, but I 100% am against the accusations.
Fair enough.
You know what I did love, as you saw throughout the broadcast, after every play that Ivan was like right there for, he would like tap the guy on the shoulder or like on the helmet, and I could just tell he was probably just like good play, good job. Just like all like kind of
the Andrew Luck.
Yeah, just like being nice, but you can tell the other team was like, I hate this guy.
It just makes it worse.
Yeah, it just makes it absolutely worse. Because I imagine the staff was
like, good play, buddy. Good play.
Right. Because
I got you next
week. Was probably like, hey guys, let's calm down a little bit, and then that is just like, I'm being calm, I'm being nice, but believe me, the other team's getting riled up and fired up inside. But let's talk offense real fast. Yet again, another splash play, 61 yards to Tyler Scott. If there's one wide receiver on Cincinnati you want to cover this year, it's Tyler Scott. And Tulsa just decided one play they weren't going to. Obviously not a smart idea there. Yeah, literally.
He was the only person on the screen.
Right. Oh God. And with this camera crew, man, that's kind of saying something, because they probably could have shown someone else for a little while. But
bad.
But outside of that, and then the 2 big runs, one by Chuck and one by Kiner, the offense at times seemed a little stagnant. Didn't really have much flow to it, if you will. But I don't know. Yet again in the second half, it was the one big run by Chuck McClellan. The passing game couldn't get going. I don't know. It just seemed as if things hit a bit of a lull there in the second half, kind of like what it did last week against Indiana, but 2 different circumstances where Indiana, you're up enough where you don't really feel much harm in it. But this week, it was a little bit more evident where, okay, we do need to get something going offensively, but they simply couldn't. The missed deep ball to Nick Martiner sticks out a little bit. He was kind of running open, would have been another big chunk play, possibly could have turned it into a touchdown if need be. But what is it that you guys are seeing kind of in the second half with the offense that it just kind of seems like they can't get over that hump once the defense makes their adjustments?
I have a question for Ryan.
Do
you think in these second halves with a lead, they need to go away from 12 personnel because it might be bringing too many guys into the box? I noticed it allowed Indiana to play the way that they were playing, I think. If you're going 12, you got 5 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, a quarterback, and a running back. That's 9 guys in the box for Cincinnati. Yeah, the tight ends can beat you if they leak out, but you're just like, if you're going to try to run, having 9 guys in your own box, it just feels to me is inviting the opponent to stack the box. You can still, you can put 7 in the box, play 2 high safeties on the 2 wide receivers, and kind of take away the deep stuff. And you can still keep Cincinnati at bay in the running game. Like I'm not saying never to go 12 personnel. I'm just saying in those situations, does it feel like it's playing into allowing the defenses to be able to focus on it?
Yeah, if you're running like the 2 tights like in the bunch, yeah, you're definitely going to crowd that box. And it's hard though because you got 2 NFL tight ends that you want on the field, and you want to try to scheme. They're both good run blockers. We have a good experienced O-line. I still think they have to play better. I'm still thinking back to the first couple years, just how much more we were able to run the ball with success compared to what we're doing now. And I think they're going to get it right. I think we need to get bigger chunk runs. We got to try to get a little bit more space in between the tackles for our running back to just pop them open and make a safety miss. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like we would go 12 personnel before and be able to get 4, 5, 6, pop a big run in between the tackles, and you just haven't been able to see that. And I don't play O-line, so I can't I don't know what they may or may not be doing right, but I do know that they're all great football players. They're going to figure it out, and they need to figure it out because that's a big part of our offense. As good of a passer Ben is, as he could go back there and pass the ball 50 times. But we don't want that. We want to have a balanced offensive attack, and we got to get the run game going. We got to start getting over 150 rushing yards a game, getting back to around 200. So I don't know. It's hard because sometimes I'm like they do look like they kind of get comfortable sometimes. It's like, all right, it's like we're having success, and it just seems like I don't know if the play calling's comfortable or if I just can't. It just seems like something just fizzles for a little bit, and then the other team comes back. It's like, all right, we need to go on a drive. They go on a drive, make a play, get a score. Whereas I'm still waiting for that full 60-minute just onslaught from the offense, and I think they're going to get there, but can't lose another game if they don't. They kind of got to figure it out.
Thanks for joining, Brian. If you would like to, if you're on desktop, right under the screen, you'll see a little button that says join. That's how you can join and become a new member of the channel. Big thanks to Brian. He has been a longtime supporter of Bearcat Journal. So thanks for subscribing to the YouTube. This was asked in the mailbag, but because we're kind of on the topic, I'll ask you. Do you think losing Renfro and maybe not then having Gerhardt at left guard, do you think Renfro being out has impacted the run game at any level?
Yeah, I think Jake Renfro is All-American potential type player. So he is that good, and that's always going to hurt. I think not having Metz, I think Metz is a really, really good guy he moves mass. He's a big body. He can, if he's not moving you, he's in the way of you. And that could be a part of the problem. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you got guys that aren't maybe Gavin. He's not doing a bad job. Maybe he's not comfortable playing center. Maybe he'd rather be playing guard. But yeah, not having Renfro, if you really think about it, he's one of the best centers in the country. That's definitely going to hurt your team not having him out there.
But still, 100-yard rushing game for Corey Kiner. Kind of one of those situations as well where, equal carries for Corey and Chuck, and both turn out good games, aided in large part by their one, long rush that both of them had, which I'm sure both of them wish they could have had back and turned on the extra burners and gotten into the end zone. But still, it seems as if maybe this might be what it is, trying to get the 2-back look. Ryan Montgomery did come back, but just returned punts. He's probably still, nursing back that rib injury. But he looked great returning punts. A huge addition back. But this kind of two-back look, sure, the whole bell cow situation where you saw with Michael Warren where he has carry after carry after carry, then burst one. And the fact that running backs get better as games wear on, take more hits. Can you see that happening with a two running back attack where, yes, they both had their big hits, but still they're not able to kind of churn it up and get the amount of reps needed to probably pick up those extra yardage to move the chains when it's 3rd and 4 and they only gain 2 or 3. Yeah, is the two back approach the best thing from here on out in your guys' eyes? It seems as if sure Corey's going to be the one that's toting the rock and getting a bunch of carries. Chuck does his part, but you saw numerous times when Cincinnati had to punt, it was like a 3rd and 4, and maybe if you had the extra reps throughout the game, you kind of know, okay, well, I find this crease here or there, and I can work it up to the second level and pick up the first down when needed. Do you think the two-back approach is going to be what we see the rest of the way out?
I think if you're going to have a two-back approach, those are the two guys that mesh very well together. Kind of look at it like more of like a pat, like Chuck can get out and catch some balls. He's got a little more speed than Corey does, a little more quickness. You could do a little bit more outside of tackles with Chuck and spread it out more with him. But I do think Corey needs to be the guy. They're getting the ball at least 20 carries a game, and then maybe Chuck gets like 10 to 12 touches. And I think that's my opinion, the best way to go about it. I think Corey's the best overall back. And I think if you get him 20 touches by touch 15, 16, 17, 18, like he's going to be feeling it. He's going to be making plays. But I do think having like that, like 20 touch Corey, 10 touch Chuck, I think I don't see a problem with that. But, I don't think they can go to like 3 or 4 backs. I think that'd start getting out of hand.
I mean, we've seen the home run ability of Corey Kiner now. And I think that, honestly, I don't think he's anywhere near his ceiling at this point.
One thing we did get to really appreciate, Jerome Ford's ability to run away from everybody.
Man.
Because Corey and Chuck are pretty fast. Like, they're fast enough.
Yeah.
And that looked nothing like when Jerome Ford got in the open field, even against Georgia, who is as talented on the back end as anybody in the country. You talk game speed. Somebody on the board put up their 40 times were all similar. Jerome's speed with the ball in his hand was not his 40 time, man. That guy ran away from everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was watching maybe the Alabama-Arkansas game, and I think Arkansas busted a big run, or it might have been Alabama or someone. And it might not have even been that game, but it was a game where the running back had
a football team.
I was watching a football game.
It was a high-level football game against 2 ranked teams. It happened a lot this past week. There might have been some money involved, but it was a situation where the team that I needed to have burst it and get to that second, third level and score, they didn't make it. And immediately in my mind, I was like, okay, Ford probably would have cashed that one in.
He never got caught. He never got caught.
I used to be up in the box and I'd tap Aaron every time that I would see him like get past the linebackers. And then
once he was past the linebackers,
I'd always tap Aaron. I would tap you and I'd be like, look, and then boom, he's in the end zone. It just,
you know what I always loved? You know my favorite part about Jerome's long touchdowns, all of them, is all of them he did the sprinter lean when he crossed the finish line.
Yeah.
Like I for some reason that always tickled me, that every time he treated it like a track race, and he gave the lean at the finish line like I won.
Yeah.
I loved it. That was great.
Yep.
But you never saw anybody. It was always this. Like there wasn't anybody that even ran even with him down the field. It was the gap just always got wider.
And it was like he's like 60 yards in. He should be slowing down.
And he's picking up speed.
Yeah. And like they get up there, then it's just like, no, I'm gonna keep going. And that's
it's
NFL speed. Yeah.
It it made you appreciate Jerome.
Yeah.
Because those 2 runs would have been touchdowns.
Yeah.
If Jerome Ford had the ball running through those holes. That's all I'm just saying. Not to take anything away from Chuck and Corey, because that's what a normal running back, like that's what a really good college running back looks like. You're supposed, like, corners are supposed to be able to catch you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Corners are supposed to be like the fastest dudes on the field. They weren't faster than Jerome Ford.
And one of the crazy things was that after Kiner's 52-yard rush, that was when the Tyler Scott touchdown was taken back. That's when the Josh Wiley touchdown had a flag. And then that's when Ryan Coe missed the field goal. So, and that was early in the game where it was, 21.
Yeah.
It could have been 21-7. And before you know it, it's like, all right, Tulsa might roll over and be done. But I think another thing, obviously, the team that's been mentioned before, and Aaron said the team needed to clean up their third down defense and third down offense. And
so bad. Like, that's the biggest problem for this team right now, I think. Third down.
Yeah. On both sides.
Fourth down. Not fourth down.
Right.
No, I didn't say fourth down. I said third down.
But so defensively, I went back and I looked at the play chart, this, that, and the other. On plays that Tulsa didn't pick up the first down on third down, it was due to a sack more often than not. Only one other time did it come by way of an incomplete pass. Outside of that, they picked up first downs through the air, on the ground, and then about 3 or 4 via the penalty. What is it when it comes to the third down that maybe is it just luckily Bryn has time in the pocket during the game and is able to find a receiver just on that down, or I don't know what it was. There was even like a 3rd and 15 where they picked up 22 yards through the air, or 3rd and 17 picked up 22 yards through the air. Even 3rd and 9 to begin the second half. If you get Tulsa 3 and out on that first drive of the second half that they had, it was 3rd down and 9. They completed the 41-yard pass to Keelan Stokes, which is actually a really good pass and good catch. But I don't know. It does seem like third down has been a bit of an issue for the defense so far this year.
Yeah, 3rd and extra long has been somehow like a huge problem for us. It's like statistically almost impossible at this point how many XLs we've given up the past couple years. And third down is a huge emphasis. I mean, it is a big deal on our defense, and we rep the shit out of it at all times, all different scenarios. And I don't know, it just got to execute better. I can't sit here and say it's this, that, and the other. Sometimes it's just offense makes a good play, offense makes a good call, and defense just didn't make a good call and didn't execute well. I don't know. We can't really sometimes you try to rush, they pick it up. It's just, I don't know. It's been a problem. We've had problems with, like I said, like 3rd and long, 3rd and extra long, and I don't know why. I wish I had more info. I wish I had some wisdom to tell you, but they're going to try like hell to clean it up, and God hope they do. It's been a problem, but I believe in them. I think they will.
I do too. I do. I truly do. I don't know. I feel like it's luck because it has to be with how well the defense played. Maybe there's that. That's when the luck factor tied in, was on third downs. And I mean, there was that one set of down where they picked up 2 or 3 straight third downs and longs due to the penalty. And one of those was the targeting. And then that's when Javon Hicks took things into his own hands and said, all right, I'll just pick this ball off and we'll take the ball back that way. But yeah, if after all the entire game, all bottled up, rolled up, all those sacks, all those big plays defensively, the splash plays offensively, if you were given a schedule before the season with all the final scores, wins and losses, and you saw 31-21 on the road at Tulsa, I mean, you would probably take it at this point. And that's what it was. And sure, you want to get a couple more points on the board, extend the lead, and sure, you don't want to give up some of the plays you did defensively, but in the end, it was a win on the road at Tulsa. You never got to experience on the road at Tulsa, did you?
No.
Oh, you weren't there
God.
for that final Tuberville year. That was that would have been fun for you, but no, it was very, very fitting final chapter of the whole Tulsa thing. And it's funny because you listen to their coaches and their players, when they talk about the game, they do mention the word rivalry. You know, our rivalry we have with those guys over there. And I don't think that Cincinnati necessarily considers it a rivalry, but
we don't say rivalry now, but we say like other things.
Yeah. Yeah. I did have one last question when it comes to games like this. Clearly, the more talented team was Cincinnati. The top to bottom better team on paper would be Cincinnati. But when a game like this turns into a brawl, you know, you saw Jabari Taylor say after the game that it felt like it was, you know, the refs are kind of letting the boys play a little bit, and it was kind of a little backyard brawl feel to it. Does that take away the whole talent differential, and it just turns it into you know, it's going to be your toughness versus our toughness, and that's going to be who wins out in the end?
That's why they play the way they play. That is why they play us specifically that way. They know we're more talented. They know we're the better team on paper. And I mean, that's, if I was the head coach of Tulsa, I would tell my guys, we got to make this into a street fight too. I don't know if I'd encourage some of the other post whistle behaviors and shit like that. I think that shit sucks. But I mean, I respect the toughness. I respect the effort they play with. Just maybe clean it up a little bit, but that's the way you got to, it's textbook football. I mean, that's what you got to, that's the kind of game you have to play against more athletic, better players. You got to try to erase that gap just by making it a street fight. I always respected that about them. I will give them that.
Gosh, they were annoying.
I'll give them one compliment.
I don't think I made this analogy here last week. I came up with it later. That they're the guy that when you punched him in the mouth, they like lick the blood. And they were like, and then you're like, oh great, I started a fight with the crazy person.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what they SMU, you punched him in the mouth, they were like, we're good, man.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna focus on next week. You punch Tulsa in the mouth and they're like, come on.
Give me some more.
But, you know, it's another thing where I think this year, we kind of mentioned it in basketball a little bit where, you know, a few years back, all the teams that were in the AAC kind of looked at Cincinnati and said, okay, that all that talent exited. Now we get our chance to beat Cincinnati. Like Houston, for example, was the team that was able to whoop up on Cincinnati a few times basketball-wise. And I feel like teams this year, they have that where they say, okay, they lost 9 players drafted to the NFL. Desmond Ritter's no longer there at quarterback. Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant don't have to worry about them. They tie in all of that with the fact that this is back-to-back defending AAC champions. And then you tie in the fact that they're leaving to the Big 12. It's like this game for the rest of the season for all the teams that, you know, are going to be in the AAC after this year. I feel like it's circled, starred, underlined, bolded, put a sticker next to it. I feel like you're going to get every team's best shot because they feel like this is the last chance that they'll have to take down the king dog, which I think Tulsa was obviously showing they're going to try and do that with physicality and toughness. I think other teams might try and do it with like trickery and different things like that. But I feel like this is the year where you're going to see teams try and get under the skin and do this, that, and the other, because on the outside, it's what everyone says, you know, they aren't as talented. They lost this, that, and the other. But that's what I take away was how big the team was able to step up and show that they're tougher, show that they've got all this talent still on the team, which is what I was happy to see for the most part.
Agreed.
But yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see as the year wears on. USF this upcoming week, homecoming weekend at home.
Let's go.
So when you were playing, Ryan, was it weird when you guys had, you know, no heaters on your sideline and you guys weren't wearing, you know, winter coats and whatnot, you know, and then you look across the way and South Florida's wearing, you know, winter coats on the sideline and heaters out there and whatnot. Was that a little strange for you guys?
Yeah, we loved talking some shit about that. We'd always be like, look at those, you know, whatever impolite word you can imagine we'd say. I'm gonna let your imagination work.
Oh,
do you remember the one time we played them and it was like, what was it, like under 20 degrees? Do you remember that? Was that 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was again that warm off. Yeah.
and like a bunch of the linebackers, we went out and warmed up shirtless, and like they just trying to mess with them, and like so we talk. So yeah, it is fun to always see like they don't embrace the good fall weather that Nipper brings. So I'm excited.
My favorite was a night game. It was literally like 54 degrees, and they acted like it was the dead of winter.
Yeah, some ain't built for the cold.
Yeah, well, did you enjoy going to Raymond James though? They had some tough games against the Bulls down there at Raymond James, but all wins.
Yeah,
but still,
I don't like playing in the NFL stadiums. It's a sucky environment, sucky. The fans never show up. It's just not fun to play. And USF, they've been solid my first couple years that I was in the program. Kind of dipped down here the past couple years. They played us better than I thought. They kind of snuck back into last year.
Yeah,
we were kind of a little aggravated with that, but
did those lights take you by surprise? Because I was there last year.
Yeah, those are crazy.
I was like,
that was cool. That was cool though.
Yeah, like what's going on here? But yeah, so the lights show up and the win. So after USF scores, they just like you do for the NFL games, as you see, they completely shut off all the lights, so it's pitch black, and then they just turn on green lights and white lights.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like a strobe light of USF colors going on, but
it's very demoralizing. Like, just imagine as like a defense, just like, God damn it! Like you're just having a light show put on you after you get scored on, and they were a bad team.
Yeah, there's like kind of quiet. They're still loud a little bit.
So it's like the opposite of when the fireworks staff lets off fireworks when you actually don't score and instead give the ball up on a fourth down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh well. Anything else on this game? Obviously, I just Tulsa like when I was doing the write up for it during the game, I was like, gosh, this game just is terrible, and I wanted to just get the game over with. MCB 2.0.
I did want to answer this question from MCB 2.0. No one has ever three-peated in the AAC. UCF won in 17 and 18, and Cincinnati in 20 and 21. But other than that, and I guess UCF in 13 and 14, but Memphis, Cincinnati, and UCF all tied in 14. So, yeah, no, you haven't had anybody ever three-peat in the AAC.
Yet. But anything else on the game with Tulsa? I would like to shut the book on the beautiful Golden Hurricane, the single non-plural team on the schedule, I would imagine.
I do want to talk about the Tyler Scott touchdown.
Thanks for the donation, though, Richard Smiley. We appreciate you.
Richard, you donate every week. You are a gentleman and a scholar. That's just that variation of the flare route, right, Ryan? The flare to the flat, except this time it was Jaden Thompson. And every time they run it, they get, generally a pretty good look out of it. And the cornerback, as soon as he saw the flare coming, went to jump the flare with no safety help over the top. And I tend to think letting Tyler Scott run free 60 yards down the field is a bad idea.
At this point, yeah, you should be like, there shouldn't be any like, oh, I'm pre-snap thinking about this certain route combo they like to do. It's like, I got Tyler Scott 21 on me. I need to be all locked in on him. I don't give a shit about what else is going on.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't coach DBs. I don't coach DBs for Tulsa, man. Maybe I should. I don't know. That just seems like a good idea.
Well, say hypothetically they run that flare route and Jaden Thompson catches it. That's like a 15-yard gain, right? Best case scenario, that's like a 12, 15-yard gain. The other option was to let Tyler Scott run free for a 61-yard touchdown.
One of those seems a little bit better. I don't know.
Well, and I don't want to bring up sour grapes, but it was the same when Michael Young was kind of running behind the defense in that game against Georgia a few years back. And but Georgia had SEC, cornerbacks, defensive backs.
That guy recovered.
That could recover.
Let's not talk about this, man. I
No,
forgot
I
about
know.
that.
I know. That was all I was
able to
saying.
recover.
But yeah, Tulsa doesn't have that, and Tulsa's yucky. And so
And the
that was
play
when
where-
Tyler Scott was wide open.
The play we could have ran on and maybe ran out the clock. I don't know.
I didn't want to bring it up, but there we are. But yeah,
I didn't bring that up. That wasn't me.
I mean, that's the bread and butter play.
What was your guys' opinion on that one?
I did like it took a guy making a miraculous play. Like if you watch how much ground he covered
in his class in 2.7.
Yeah, if you watch how much ground, like there's no way Dez in his mind is thinking that guy can get from here to there by the time I get this pass there. Like
right.
Almost physically impossible. It just happened to be one of the best athletes in the country that was able to get back and get his hand on the ball. Like I didn't hate it because I think
it worked.
Ultimately, it worked. You got what you wanted in the counter action because Georgia sucked up, take away the flare. They had the run pretty well defended. If he runs, of course, the clock keeps running, and you guys probably have a better chance to get that clock to 0 without them being able to kick the 54-yard field goal. But design-wise, I didn't hate it because I thought it accomplished what it was supposed to accomplish. Sometimes a guy just makes a play, man. Like,
yeah, that's a good point. That's fair.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And it's going to live as one of the most scrutinized plays in UC football history because it didn't work. But the design worked. Yeah. The execution pretty much worked. Yeah. And a guy made a play. Like,
I mean, and it was the bread and butter play. Like that was Dez's bread and butter play.
Yeah.
Like that was the go-to. You need 3 or 4 yards. You have 4 different options, really. I mean, I was fine with it, but obviously hindsight 2020.
I wasn't fine with the outcome.
No. Well, I was fine with the play call is what I mean, but outcome. Yeah, sorry to bring that up, but that was what the play was. And this time, Tulsa didn't have the recovery speed or the recovery anything.
Wow.
Usain Bolt probably couldn't even have done that one.
Oh,
that was 40 yards clear.
That was just a guy not even knowing how to play football for a play. No recognition. But yeah, I mean that's Tyler Scott for you as well.
But that's good offensive coordinatoring, right? Like,
yeah,
when you want the defense to
tendencies.
See what this is their tendency when they motion this guy and they run him into the flat on that flare. The quarterback's going to roll. He's going to hit the flat. Boom, first down or what, and the guy saw what the tape told him to see, and instead, over your head, oops.
You got bombed on.
Yeah.
Absolutely did. But you know what? That was a splash play. Then we had 2 splash plays on the ground, Aaron. I know you love the splash plays, but probably want to see a few more. I imagine you would like to, but I don't know. It was a game where you're up, you're winning, defense is dominating.
52, 66, and 61 count as chunk plays, right, Aaron? Just making sure.
I want 20 yards plus. I mean, I'm greedy with my splash plays.
He doesn't think a splash play is 15 yards, Ryan. He is up the standard to 20.
Go big or go home.
Well, it's 20 plus for pass, and I think it's
15 for run.
Yeah.
Aaron wants 20 for all. A 17-yard run is not a splash play for Aaron. It's just what you should do.
Not enough.
That's what you should. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
I would love if we averaged 17 yards a run. I think we'd win all the rest of our games.
I say odds are pretty strong with that.
Yeah.
But
strategery. Yeah, it was good strategery by Gino.
31-21 final score. 47 no more. Get out of here. Victory for the Bearcats. Bye. They move on. 5-1. You know, I'm just excited for this weekend as well, homecoming. Then you get a bye afterwards, and then some tough road games. So,
Dave is calling this the double bye.
theoretically,
it's a double bye.
Theoretically, it kind of is, but still, you got to look at the tape and see that USF gave Florida all they could handle and more a few weeks back. So I'm sure the staff will be playing that tape and not every other tape from USF's season this year, where they've looked terrible, as Aaron could tell you in the AAC wrap up. But yeah, so that's just Saturday. But this past Saturday, wrap up, win, get on the bus, get on the plane, go home. Man, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hopefully, is the basketball team going there this year? Do you know off the top of your head, Chad? Or
I don't.
I sure hope not. Because looking real quick, they
Reds must have just did something good. Fireworks.
You live right downtown?
Yeah.
Oh baby, I heard it.
Let's go Reds.
Wow, how about that? The basketball team does not travel to Tulsa this year.
Good for them.
That's it. We're done.
Done.
Fuck that place.
Done. Wow. Good night.
It's the one AAC city they don't travel to. Never go back. Ever. What, Arquan tweeted something like, I don't like it here?
Yeah.
That was funny.
Well, Tulsa, goodbye, man. Good riddance. So that's a victory. Move on from that. Were there any questions of the mailbag, Aaron? Should we hop into that, or
were there any questions?
What's the move on these shows now? Do we go mailbag, football, then we do basketball real fast, mailbag, basketball, or do we do basketball?
We've always done the mailbag at the end. Royer said he likes basketball, so we can.
Let's talk basketball. So
let's hoop it up.
Right?
Let's hoop it up. Hoop it up. Chad, you went to practice.
I went to an all-defense practice last week.
All-defense practice. Sounds like they were doing good job barking out and getting things moving and working. But aside from that, good press conference with Wes and Landers and Dollar and of course that was
a Reds win, Royer, by the way. They snapped their 6-game losing streak. So
what are they, one game back in the wild card now?
Yeah, they're right there. They're right.
Big game coming up tomorrow.
I think they're third worst in baseball, so they're just trying to finish as the not worst team in Major League Baseball.
Don't they have to win out to not lose 100 games? I think that's
they're at 99.
Yeah,
let's go.
Wow, the Reds are?
Yeah, they're really bad.
Yeah. Well,
they were on pace to have the worst season of any sports team ever.
Yeah, they turned it around. I tell you what, playing fantasy baseball, I'll tell you, they've got some good pitchers. So future's looking solid, I'd say.
No.
If they can get some bats around them. Maybe.
We'll see.
Solid
Nick
rotation.
Castellanos back to hit the most timely home runs ever.
Yeah. And a deep drive out to left field.
Aaron milked that train as far as it would take him.
Did he?
Yeah, they had Ryan Castellanos on their podcast like regularly last season.
His brother.
And didn't you have the opening on your open to your pod too?
Yeah, on PTP.
Yeah.
But that's a different show for a different day.
Milk that cow for all it's worth. Now they're off to Philly.
That day is tomorrow.
That day comes one day away. But you can't reference it anymore. Maybe if you want to. But anyway, back to basketball.
No free ads.
No, none.
I didn't even mention anything. Didn't have to.
You didn't? Castellanos, that's all that matters. Anyway, so and Newman was the last one in that press conference. So
Nolly was last.
Well, I already mentioned him. I didn't mention Newman, so that's why I say he was the last one that I didn't mention. From what you were able to gather, and obviously Roth's team was there too. Your boy. It sounds
he was there
like
in the morning. I was not there with him.
Right. The 2-a-day approach, right, is what they're going through right now.
Well, when they do the defensive boot camp, they do 2-a-days, and then the third day is one practice. So they essentially have 5 practices where they don't do any offense. It's all installing their defense, how they run, what the presses are, late game situations, how they go from a press back into their base defense, all of the good little finer points of defensive basketball. It's captivating.
Yeah,
I was about to say, it doesn't sound like too much fun.
It's captivating.
But defense is fun on the football field, so maybe
It's the best.
Maybe you can find the silver lining on the basketball court.
I think you'd be a guy that you're a pain in the ass to play basketball with, aren't you?
Oh, I was a defensive specialist. Defense, rebounding,
set,
fouling,
screens,
fouling. Yes.
For some reason, I envision guys going in for a layup and then finding themselves underneath the basket. What happened?
Somehow a forearm was just delivered above the chest.
How did I get here?
You will screen the crap out of numerous people. Yeah.
Yes.
I hear you. Yeah, I was in a pretty good rec league team back in the day. Not gonna lie, we won. Yes, I was. We won many games, not because of me, because we had two guys that were just absolutely wet from deep, and all I would do is set solid screens up top, and they knock down threes. Anyway, Chad, one thing that Rothstein mentioned and that you kind of mentioned as well is the update is the fact that there just are numerous bodies that are now added to the program that were just on top of the team that was already here coming back, where it just feels different when you sit through practice, where it just looks like this is a team that has that feel of an NCAA tournament team. And now that they're all together, now that they're in a practice setting and you were able to get there and see that, do you see it on full force, especially the defensive side, that you were able to see that they just have that ability to guard all over the place and potentially offensively as well?
There's a lot more fluidity to what they want to do in terms of how Wes wants to defend. It's so hard to be a pressure defense when the opponent can just shoot over you. That makes all the pressure. You pressure. They get the ball to the right spot, and then somebody shoots right over you. That's a killer. And what it does ultimately too is it impacts your intensity defensively when it keeps happening, because you're I worked and did everything right, and they still scored. So being able to be 6'7" at 3 instead of 6'3", 6'4", just the overall structure of the roster, the way that the roster is built, leans far more into the way Wes wants his teams to be structured. And I think that's the thing that you can take away from watching a defense-oriented practice like that is, this is what it's much closer to what he wants to do. It's much closer to who he wants to be as a program. So it's getting there.
With newcomers and freshmen, one of the things that you see, no matter how high your rating is the chance to be ready right away, especially with freshmen. The chance to get out there and fit on a college court and kind of, not really take over games, but fit your role where you need to. Some freshmen it takes them a year to get acclimated to that. One player that I've seen mentioned that is, kind of seems a little bit ahead of schedule is Sage.
I don't know yet.
Sage
is going to take a little while.
Right. No. I meant just but does it look like, just from what you've been able to see in the one practice that you went to?
I saw him stand around and play defense at the 5. I don't know yet. Let's save the good questions for when I've watched some offense, when I've seen him get up and down a little 5-on-5. We don't want to waste the good questions on one defensive practice, right?
I mean, I just wanted to say, does it look like the freshmen
looks like he's
comfortable? Tall. Not just him, the freshman.
Maybe. I don't know. I watched him play defense. You gotta see him get out there and get in the flow of things, and how fast are they processing what they're being asked to do in the offensive system, and then also being able to respond and get down back on the other floor. And a lot of times what will be interesting is they're going to be defending older guys because this team's old as shit. Right? Like 8 guys that are either in their their COVID year or their senior year.
Yeah.
So the freshmen are going to be tested on that scale because they're going to be going against dudes that have played a lot of college basketball.
Right.
So I don't know like how much we're really going to see from them, at least early, just because the guys ahead of them have such a head start. Now, do I think Dan Skillings is going to be a factor on this team? Yeah, I do. Josh, I think it's going to be tough. I think he's good enough. There's just a ton of dudes between the 3 and the 4. And Dan might be one of those dudes because Dan kind of is a 2-3 where Josh is a 3-4. And then you add Hensley and Newman and Davenport and Nolly. And like you got a log jam there for young guys looking for minutes.
Who's going to replace Sam Martin?
Great question.
Working on it. It's a work in progress. Nobody's going to replace Sam Martin.
That's the answer.
I mean,
CJ
Anthony actually is good enough to play. Like, there's 330 teams in college basketball. He could play regular minutes for half of them. Easy.
Mick was big saying Sam Martin could probably start for a few teams as his career.
Sam could play.
Yeah,
Sam could play.
Obviously, with the season getting closer, I mean, with the first games coming up beginning of November, I imagine maybe we could have a bit more basketball talk, maybe next week's episode or the week following after that, because there won't be, it'll be coming off a bye week and won't have too much to fill. So maybe a basketball rendered episode on the 10th or the 17th.
We should have a lot. Well, that's my birthday. So.
Who's taking you to the precinct, Chatty? You want me to take you?
You might have to if Kelly's still in the hospital. So
Chatty,
this might be on Royer. I might have to. Royer's going to take me to the precinct, but I'm going to have to pay. I think is where we're at.
No way I would let you pay.
Maybe
I'm taking you on a date. I'm a gentleman.
Maybe
Come
a
on.
BVP field trip to the precinct for your birthday. There we go.
I'm not paying for all of you,
fun.
son of a bitch.
I'm not driving 2.5 hours each way just for precinct. I'm telling you that right now.
If I told you, Aaron, we're going to the precinct,
I don't like steak.
What the?
Yeah, that's fine.
You like that?
Holy shit!
You like that scared bird, don't you? Some
Where'd
of that
he go?
scared bird.
I removed him.
Tad removed.
I'm
Good.
not having any of that. I'm not.
Steak.
What a beta. Get that guy some steak.
Unbelievable. I don't like steak.
Aaron, come back. Yeah, I mean,
he's gone. Like we might not see him again the rest of the night.
There he is.
You guys love that. The Galactic Fried Chicken. Shout out Galactic Fried Chicken. That scared bird. Aaron loves that scared bird, the chicken. But you know what? It's all very tasty. Brian Johnson with a heavy comment. But as far as it goes, that was the BVP talking basketball as far as this current team goes. And I actually think
we're getting there. Like we're
getting
not quite really into like full basketball yet. But we had Jeff Goodman on. We did a lot of basketball last week.
Yeah,
like we're trending in that direction.
And
Francis wants to know, Aaron, do you like ribs? I think he likes ribs. I think he's cooked ribs before.
Yeah, I like ribs. I like burgers. I'm not a steak person. I don't know.
Okay. So you go to a steakhouse. What are you ordering?
I don't go to steakhouses.
What if,
Smart move.
we all went to the steakhouse and you had to order something?
I don't know. Chicken, ribs, pork chops, fish.
Salmon, yeah.
I think pork chops is an underrated order at a steakhouse.
A lot of steakhouses.
I still get steak. I still get steak. But the times I've gotten pork chops at a steakhouse, it's like, this is a pretty damn good pork chop.
Look, we grew up with not a ton of money in my house, and I don't feel like I ever ate good steak. And so now, anytime I go anywhere, I'm not ever like, I'll take the sirloin. No, it's fine.
We need to get you a good ribeye somewhere one day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll take you out. We'll get
Somebody
you
take care of this guy.
Brent might expect some action at the end of the night, so I'd be careful with that.
As long as it's just a hug and a kiss from Royer, I'll be happy. But so that was our talk of basketball. Obviously, we're going to dive into more. Probably next upcoming episodes. I don't know. We can.
Yeah, I mean, next week,
something.
if this is as bad as we think it's going to be, like, there's not going to be a ton to dissect about USF. I was planning to get to practice a couple times this week. That's kind of up to the doctors at the moment on when I'm at the hospital and when I'm not. But especially like the bye week, we won't have the Luke Fickell press conference. I should have a little bit more time to make sure I get to basketball and bring the heat on some of these shows. I agree completely, Stephen, that this entire podcast has been teetering on the edge since the jump, and he is here for it.
Hey, you got to sneak me into a Fickell press conference. That would be the funniest thing ever.
God! If you just like it's every Tuesday at noon. If you just come sit next to me with like a notebook and like
no.
Yes, that would be so
Can we
funny.
Chad Powers him? Maybe is that possible?
Ooh, I wonder if. Oh, you know what? I do know somebody that might be able to pull something like this off.
I could stop in for an hour on my lunch break.
Yeah, but
the problem would be if we're gonna
Powers. We gotta get you.
Yeah, the problem would be we would have to send you somewhere to get made up to look different before the press conference
and everything. And then you go to the practice afterwards, and you just stand on the sidelines. I mean, heck, you could just say you're like a Miami Dolphins scout or something.
I'd have to write at least 2 funny ass questions.
Yeah. That would only you would know.
Yeah.
That only you would have like access to.
We would lose access to press conferences.
Yeah, what's that like?
That would be so good.
You know what? I bet we could get like Shark and Company in on it.
Oh yeah, they would do something like that. They would.
Totally. To have Royer crash a press conference where like sit in the middle row or the back row where you're not like overly noticeable.
Yeah.
The problem is I feel like that would probably have to be like a Kennesaw State type thing where if you try to mess with him on Tuesday of game week, I think he might.
I think I could loosen it up a little bit.
Yeah, probably. We would have to get it in the hands of somebody other than me because he would beat me.
Probably. How about media availability? Like the first media availability for bowl practices, where it's kind of the bowl games like 3 or 4 weeks away, and
the first bowl practice we have with media availability with Fick.
You're in the bubble. You're watching practice. And you'd be like Nardwar. Have you guys heard of Nardwar? The guy who interviews all the rappers and whatnot, and he knows all this insider information. You'll be that. You'll kind of like ask him questions that he has. It's like, how do you know that? I don't even barely know that. So that could be fun. It could be fun.
Either that one or the week of the AAC championship. It's probably.
Oh yeah, he'd be very low stress.
I think he'll be pumped up to have a prank pulled on him for sure.
I wouldn't make it out of the building.
Aaron, Berkshire pork chop, red pepper romesco with some charred shishito peppers. Okay, that's got your name. That's got your name written all over it. Is that the
precinct?
It's at the precinct. Got your name written all over it.
Sounds great.
It does.
It does sound great.
Sounds pretty tasty.
How long will Flory Badunga be on campus tomorrow? Just tomorrow.
Bearcat 12. That was my next move. So we were talking, basketball and steak, as well as Ryan Royer turning into Nardwar on the BVP. Now it's time to get to the things that fans want to hear. Some news about some recruits that the basketball team is after has slowly came out over the weekend and early parts of today. Wes on the road, I do believe, today. On top of that,
still to my sources tell me Wes Miller is still hanging out with Jizzle James in Florida right now.
Okay. Trust those sources. I do believe
good news
on a school night.
Let's get the jizz.
On a doggone school night, huh? Okay, Ryan. Very good. Flory
I
visiting
didn't say anything
tomorrow.
wrong.
You did not. You did not. Get the jizzle, man. Flory on campus tomorrow. Going to IU to the Hoosier Hysteria this weekend on Friday night. That was reported. Chad confirmed. On top of that, got some Isaiah Collier talk over the weekend. He was in LA. Chad, you said he did end up stopping into USC and UCLA practices.
I still think they've got a chance to close this thing out, but I'm feeling the dogs agree with me. Not feeling super warm and fuzzy about Ray at this point. But there was a point I didn't feel warm and fuzzy about Dan Skillings or Landers Nolly, and Wes was able to get those finished. So we have a date, November 16th, for his commitment. I don't think he's made a decision yet. Everything I've heard indicates he hasn't made a decision yet, but we'll see. We at least have an idea of when this thing is going to wrap up and how it's going to play out. We'll see. My dogs are going nuts. I don't know what's happening outside right now.
They hate all of the information you're giving right now.
They hate it.
They're not here. They want commitments, Chad. Commitments now.
Yeah, exactly. So Travis Branham put in a crystal ball for Jizzle James. You said that Wes is still down there with Jizzle right now, sources say. He did set up a visit with LSU on Saturday, but he was very vague about that in the article that Branham wrote. Kind of just really short quote about that. So not sure how to dive into that. But
I got a little bit of breaking news.
A little bit of breaking news.
Front.
Here we go.
There will be an official visitor two official visitors at the basketball game on Saturday. Or at the football game on Saturday.
I have other breaking news. 2 minutes ago, Jizzle James said tomorrow night, 9 p.m., he will be making an announcement.
Whoa.
Tweeted that out 2 minutes ago.
Tune in to the Jizzle.
Wow. That's a big quote.
On a school night.
On a school night. And sources say Wes Miller is still down there. On a school night.
I'm gonna put the thinking emoji on top of this one.
Yeah, and you know what? That's just interesting timing because he's supposedly got a visit coming up with LSU on Saturday. So
what would be crazy?
What
he
would
didn't
be
go?
crazy?
If he went somewhere else.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be crazy?
It'd be crazy if he went somewhere else.
One or two official visitors.
One official visitor, Tyler McKinley.
Hey, Tyler McKinley.
Who is at Linkier Prep out in Branson, Missouri.
Beautiful golf courses, interesting city. That's all I'll say.
Coming home.
Bring him home.
To visit the Cincinnati Bearcats for homecoming. Joining him. Rayvon Griffith.
Rayvon.
Coming home for an official visit for homecoming from Arizona Compass Prep. So 2 guys from the Natty.
The boys are back in town.
Coming back home for homecoming.
Wow.
Maybe somebody else stops by. I don't know.
Maybe they do.
I don't know. The thinking emoji for basketball is undefeated, Ryan. When I put the thinking emoji out for basketball, something's happening.
Something big.
We'll see. We'll see if I stay on.
Streets be talking.
We'll see if I stay undefeated tomorrow night at 9 p.m.
Tomorrow night, 9 p.m.
Thinking Nation. Where is this? I want to see this thing.
Aaron, good job on that breaking news. That was great. Golly. Very good. But yeah, that's obviously mammoth
Is it
news.
Bearcat or your account, Chad? Oh, there it is.
Hey.
Mr. Think. Oh, you're putting up some numbers right now.
Oh, those go fast, Royer. The people see, that's one thing. I'm vague, but they know. My people know what the vague means. Like, they understand. We have our own We have our own BCJ language.
This is awesome. I love this. This
Is that the first time you've seen that?
Yeah.
That was
That's
That was
sick.
Squad Fest.
Yeah.
That was my idea for him to make that his profile picture.
It's a
Aaron
great
was
idea.
like, "You won't go over there and sit with the belt," and I was like, "Hell, I won't."
Are you kidding me?
So I went over, threw the belt on, sat in the chair. Aaron took a picture, and we showed it to Vic, and Vic was like, "You're a fucking mess."
Did you guys ever see that? The TikTok guy that posted with me and Fickle and a couple other guys. Did you guys ever see that? The TikTok dad cook?
No.
Are you kidding me? That guy? You guys never saw that?
No, what was it?
There's this dad on TikTok who cooks on a Blackstone, and me and my roommates, we think he's great.
Oh, he's got some buddies in town for a golf thing, and he makes a burrito.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so my roommate got a Blackstone grill, and we're like, "Oh, this is so sick! Like, we gotta message him to see if he replies," and he does. And we're like, "Hey, do you want to do chili for the playoff game? Make chili for the playoff game and shout out the Bearcats." He was like, "Yeah, just send me a video of you guys with Coach Vic." And so it's like us and Coach Vic doing his catchphrase. He's good. I can't believe you guys didn't see that. It was funny.
Send it to us in the group chat. Send it to us in the group chat.
I don't even know how to do that.
Send it to us. You don't even have our
Roy. What do you think, Royer's some kind of engineer?
Brent's slyly trying to get Ryan's phone number right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Best way to set up a kiss with me is to get my number. Come on.
Hey, for some reason they restrict your number from me. I don't know why, but there's ways around that. Don't you
He's
worry.
been trying to get Brady's number from me for like 3 years.
Oh, I've got it. I've got Brady's number. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, as decision dates have been set, I think Paige is the only one that hasn't set a concrete decision date out of the 2023 prospects. Now that Aaron just had that breaking news about Jizzle tomorrow night, so
good work, Aaron.
Good work, Aaron. But November 16th, Cincinnati's playing at NKU. And if you remember that season when the Bearcats played at NKU that year, there's a little bar called Skyline Tavern up there on the hill. I tell you what, if there's a big NKU, Bearcats over NKU that night, and also on top of that, some other good news, I feel bad for Skyline Tavern. There might be a historic night there going wee into the early morning. So, yeah, a lot of good news.
Are you saying you might stay in Cincinnati that night?
1,000% chance. I might stay at Skyline Tavern if all things go well. Who knows? Ask him if there's
sleeping
a cot in
the parking lot.
A little cot in the back. Yeah, there's a little parking lot there. But yeah, so Flory visiting tomorrow, Chad. That's unofficial, correct? So
that's not official. Yeah.
Yeah, just tour the campus and whatnot, and go from there. So
be impressive if somebody else's first day at UC was tomorrow.
Wouldn't that be impressive?
Be interesting.
Be nice.
The innuendos are flowing.
Yeah,
we're good at that.
Quite large.
We're good at that.
And people can probably put 2 and 2 together, then they figure it out. So
if after 16 years they can't put 2 and 2 together on me, like they're not good at this. Not good at this. All right, let's get to the mailbag.
Yeah, let's get to. I was going to say any other names of interest. I saw a few more names pop up, kind of more 2024 basketball wise. I think it's just early.
That's just part of the process.
Yeah. So obviously 2023. Keep your eyes out. Flory on campus. Jizzle tomorrow night. Raymond in town this weekend. Welcome back. McKinley as well. McKinley just got offered by Auburn yesterday, so the country is hot out on Tyler McKinley, but Cincinnati's been on top of it since day one. So
strange that they are so early on all of these guys who everyone else plays catch up on later.
Right. And man,
it's like they're good at what they do or something.
If you meet that staff, it's hard not to like them. A bunch of likable guys. Even my man Mike Roberts, great guy, but crazy in pictures, I tell you what. But anyway, let's roll on into the mailbag, Aaron. Got that already all fired up.
All right, the football portion of the mailbag. Let's start there. As always, was Royer successful in getting Alec to come to homecoming? That comes via T Bearcats fans too.
I'd say so. I think he knows what he gets out of his fellow engineer. I think it could be a little enticing for him. So we're going to be sitting with each other at the game, catching up, talking ball, talking friendship. Looking forward to it.
Brent's immediately jealous on all sorts of levels.
Oh, no. No jealousy here. Just excitement. Excitement.
All right, from LaxCat31. At what point do penalties and this team's lack of discipline finally reach its boiling point? Penalties have been the one thing Fickle hasn't conquered. And at some point, it's going to bite the team in the butt.
Well, I heard the same thing in 2018. And I heard the same thing in 2019.
Did bite us in the butt that game.
Hi, Shimon.
What the
Which one?
Shimon, what's up, brother?
What up, man?
The Memphis game. It got you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It did kind of come back and hurt us that one.
Yeah,
Discipline.
Yeah.
2020. Heard that then. The only year you guys weren't one of the most penalized teams in the country was 2021. Right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
That's just been a thing. Like,
yeah.
I think there's a difference though. Like we've talked about this before. If you're committing penalties of aggression, I don't think it's something that Luke is all that overly upset about. If it's false starts and illegal procedures and 12 men on the field and delay of games when you got a 40-second clock ticking, like that stuff is going to drive him nuts. If it's the other stuff, like, like the targeting and the Mulaney late hit was unnecessary. It was just dumb.
That was stupid by the man.
So dumb. But then like the Ivan Pace one, he gave a hand chuck to a guy that weighs 270 pounds that didn't even phase the guy. Like, what do we – come on. This is football. These guys stick their heads in ceiling fans.
Not all of us, Chad. There's only a few.
Chosen few.
Few who are brave. The fans. But you're exactly right, Chad. What you're saying is exactly the way Fickle talks about it. He's like, I will take aggressive penalties all day. What I will not take is stupid penalties. Yeah. We still do have stupid penalties, but yes. I do think
those need to be cleaned up.
Of them, most of them are aggressive penalties.
Deuce wants to know if we've got any room on the UC bandwagon. Sign a depressed Louisville football friend. That's my boy Deuce. I love him. It's my guy.
Yeah.
Yes, we have room. Come join us. It's a lot of fun.
Just gotta do this,
until Brom goes down to Louisville and the king returns and all of a sudden everyone hops back on the bandwagon there. But yes. But aside from that, as far as penalties go, this past game I think is an outlier. That was just a physical.
The official stunk.
Yeah, and it was weird. It was a weird game overall.
There were late flags. There were anticipation flags.
Right. Yeah, like the one offsides. It was just like I don't know the whole thing.
I thought the left tackle jumped clearly.
Yeah, but it was like you threw it like after the play was done. I don't know. I was beside myself for a lot of the entire game. But aside from that, I think also is the fact that when you all flags are up to the referee to call them, and sure they say there's no bias, there's nothing outside of it. They call every game as fair as what be and whatnot. But when you have two elite corners and sure, supposedly the rest don't know names and whatnot, I think they get a little bit more benefit of the doubt out there. And when you have just elite players and name players, this, that, and the other, I don't know. I think just as the team gets better and wears through, some plays that get flagged now might not get flagged in the future if they're ticky-tack variety. So I think the number goes down in that sense. And then on top of it, as they just cohesion, you're starting to see it every week just with their play. that's the same with penalties as well. I think the cohesion will cut down on those penalties, and just the awareness of being on the field together will cut down on the pre-snap ones as well. So I think that number goes down throughout the year. It didn't this past week because it was a weird week, but I think over the year it will go down.
Yes. Anything to Miles Montgomery's lack of reps? He only had 2 in the Miami game and nothing since. Trust issues, unavailable, and that comes from JSAG Cincy.
2 guys are playing better.
Go with the hot hand.
Yep.
Chuck and Corey have kind of established themselves as the go-to guys. And if you look, Luke's not really a 3-back, a 4-back guy. It was Warren and Dokes, and then it was Dokes and Ford, and then it was Ford, and really the only other guy that got touches was Montgomery,
Ryan.
was Monty. And Luke has said this. He said it in the pre-camp preview that I did with them. I'd like to find a lead back and then, a guy behind him as the change of pace. That's how they like to do things. It's like everybody asking why won't he do a 2-quarterback system? It's not who he is. He believes in I have a competition. There's a winner of the competition, and that guy that wins the competition is quarterback 1. And he is the one thing I think Ryan can attest to. That man is loyal as fiercely loyal when he tells you this is how I do things. And he's not going to vary from that really under any circumstance, is he?
No, you're exactly right. And that's why he's going to be one of the best ever. Man of his word, sticks to his guns.
Tell the people, how important is that to a team?
It's critical to have that's what builds culture, is honesty, is just being up in front with your guys and getting your guys to trust in you. And that's critical. And it's what every great coach has ever had to ever coach this great game. And that's why you're going to hear about Luke Fickell in the future.
And if you want to see what the opposite looks like, I give you Houston.
Oh, yeah. Holgerson.
I
had boys that
he looks like he's ready to quit.
Yeah. Well, I had friends that went to West Virginia and said they
Look
would
at the
see
puppy.
him at the bars, drinking, talking to college girls during the season.
That is an adorable puppy. What is it?
Oh, is that a retriever wiener
Got
dog?
The head looks a little small for a golden.
Got a golden retriever.
Okay, a girl.
Oh,
looks
really?
like a girl.
Her name is Bailey Lucille.
Oh,
All
nice.
right.
Little hyphen.
She does
Yeah.
have a smaller head.
Goldens usually have a little bit bigger
She's
dome.
only 13 weeks old. She's a little
She's
tiny
cute.
one. She is. Well, she just wanted to make a guest appearance, but
Her on-camera debut.
her on-camera debut, she'll be back. Don't you worry.
All right.
She'll be making picks in 2 or 3 years. We'll figure that out.
From Zach Jones, in the last BYU football game, the Cougars got a penalty because one of their players seriously got mad and threw his shoe.
The
How do you
most
think-
BYU thing ever.
Who throws a shoe? I mean, honestly, but how do you think Fick would respond if one of his guys did that and cost the team actual yardage on the field?
He'd
Royer?
rip your ass, and then he'd probably just rip your ass. That's about it, I'd say. Just call you a stupid person. Don't do it again. But I don't think he'd bench you or anything. I couldn't see him doing that.
They had a pretty awesome uniform reveal. I think obviously Shark has my heart with her uniform reveals, but their uniform reveal this past week was pretty cool if you haven't seen it yet.
The Trey
I
Tucker,
haven't seen that one.
Eminem.
No. The BYU's uniform review.
Gotcha. Any insight as to why Coach Fick was laying into Justin Harris after the game from Bearcats 106?
I think he was getting goaded into shenanigans.
Yes, 100%. Maybe exchanging some taunting or trash talk after the final whistle. Coach Fick always loves to cut that out right away. Hey, enough!
Sounds about right.
Ryan, did you have any insider info on what was going on down there this past weekend?
No, I was going to ask you guys. Like, I saw there was some like post-game scuffle. I didn't. I don't know. I forgot to ask.
Not quite a Donnybrook.
From what I heard, the fans were throwing stuff at the UC players as they entered the tunnel.
To leave?
Yeah. And telling them how much they appreciated them and their dominance atop the AAC. And then the Tulsa players tried to run into UC's path to get into their locker room.
This is after the game's over, right?
After the game's over, yeah. And a fight was close to brawl status, but from what I was told, the UC players just kind of brushed it off as they wanted to get to the locker room and quote unquote get the fuck out of Tulsa for good.
Did you see what Philip Montgomery said?
He tried to
he's like some of our players had some family that was across the way, so they were just trying to get past the Cincinnati team to go say hi to their families.
Who puts the home team's families on the opposing team's bench? Who does? Nobody does that.
A team that has the stadium the size of a high school stadium.
Aaron, you can sit wherever you want. There was like 18 people there.
Oh, I saw the game. I'm aware.
I think they give away like free hot dogs or like $1.50 hot dogs.
They tried to throw like a carnival or whatever to get people
Oktoberfest.
Yeah. Give me a break. They had 21,000 people there. What a joke. Tulsa, you're a fucking joke.
All right. Briggs versus Corleone. Who wins a sumo match?
Corleone.
I think you're right.
I just don't think you can move him. I don't know that somebody as strong as Briggs can get him off his spot. I've seen 3 people. They tried to triple team him, and he didn't move.
The Don.
He didn't get his normal 2 to 3 yards of like push, but he held his point of attack with 3 people trying to move him. Briggs is maybe the strongest human to ever play football at Cincinnati.
Maybe.
I don't know that he can move him.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to watch.
That's a great,
and then somebody followed up with like them eating the Skyline order. Did you see the disdain on Jawan Briggs' face?
Well, he's not a Skyline guy. He's a Gold Star guy, and he let us know.
Well, but did you see the disdain on his face when he said, "Who let him do that?"
Yeah, that was the best. That was the best thing I've ever heard Jawan Briggs say. Who let him eat that way?
That's a great line.
Any rumblings on any freshmen starting to step up outside of JQ?
Not really. Like, we're not at that. Like, Roy will tell you. Once we're at this point, if you ain't already up, like,
you're on the back burner.
Yeah,
you're waiting, and then spring ball comes around and it's go time. It's
right.
Magnifying glasses on. Yeah,
right. But if you didn't make that impression in camp. And here's the thing about this roster that we're still starting to like figure out. Also, least surprising thing last week in the Tulsa game, Amorion Smith got to play and got a penalty.
I was going to say that earlier. When they said it was him, I had texted my friends. I was
fair.
Like,
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
that's my bad.
That one's. I haven't heard you guys take on this. Why is that? Like, I just want to know what
he's a bad man.
Know.
That's not a guy I would mess with.
There's a campfire ground practice, if you will.
You didn't hear about hey, Shaman. Shaman and Armorion had a little dust up at spring ball or at camp that was physical. It's very physical.
Okay. All right.
It was one of those.
I knew he was a scrapper. I knew that. I just didn't know what story you guys had.
One got sent to the showers, and it wasn't Shaman.
Yeah. One got sent to the showers, and you know, and then he tried to sneak back out, and Fix saw him try to sneak back out.
That's funny. I respect that though. It's like,
look, I love him. Like,
some guys,
he has replaced practice. He has replaced Brian Cook as the one guy on the roster. Not messing with. Nope.
Really?
Although when Cook cut his hair, it took away some of that. Like when he had the predator look,
yeah,
and like he wasn't a dude until you got to know him, until he loosened up a little bit later in his career. He always had that stone face, and he had the predator look. And you watch the way that he played, like, nah, man, I'm good.
For me, it was Curtis Brooks and the snarl, but
but that is transferred to Armorion.
Okay.
That and he had a hit on Miles Montgomery in spring ball that Miles had broken away for a long touchdown run, except Armorion didn't stop playing and hit him at like the 4. And you know the end of the bubble where like you guys walk in where the table and the clock is, like sent him flying over into all of that. And it was like, oh.
All right.
Oh, this guy's this guy's serious. He's not here for fun and games.
Yeah. No, he plays his ass off. I love that.
He does. I love it. He's very aggressive.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's just now finally getting some reps out there on the field. So
yeah,
I mean it takes a lot to work your way up as a true freshman.
From Cincy Seapaw, so forgetting about hurricanes and other tragedies that cause game days to move, what is normal in the Big 12? Game times still set approximate same time frame as they are for us in the American, or is it more of a set schedule? Days for games change much?
12, 3:30, and 7 is pretty much standard TV operating procedure. You'll see some variation on that, but college football games as a general rule start at 1 of 3 times, 12, 3:30, and 7.
Now, if they expand into the West Coast, that could change, right?
Well, of course, but that 10:30 is it's every 3.5 hours starting at noon.
Do you see the defense giving up more than 70 points for the rest of the regular season? And that's from everyone's favorite UC mark, 17.
That's 10 points a game for the rest of the season, Royer. What do you got?
It could get close. I would go with more than 100. Be my.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll. I think they're going to. Because I mean, you had games last year like randomly Navy scored 20, USF scored 28. Like it's going to be where you have that random outlier game here or there, and even get up by a bunch, and then the opposing team scores a couple garbage touchdowns and
playing UCF at the bounce house too.
Yeah.
Can you give me 3 reasons why this year's front 7 may be better than last year's front 7, including the 2 deep?
Oh,
man. I mean, performance, the D-line is doing better. But it'd be hard for you to tell me, like, these guys are better than Mailbag, Curtis Brooks, in terms of just raw, like those are 2 NFL guys. I mean, these guys we don't know what they're going to turn into, if they're going to be as good as them, but they're definitely like making a name for themselves.
Right.
I think Beavers is better. I think Beavers is performing better than Will's performing right now, but I think Pace is performing better than Joel because Pace is playing better than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think DP and Ty are both playing as good as they did last year.
I got a question for you on that. Those 2 guys had 167 tackles or whatever combined last year, which we all thought was almost humanly impossible. How much of that do you think was teams looking and saying, not going to beat Kobe, not going to beat Sauce, probably not going to beat Arquan because, he's equally as good at nickel. We're not throwing anywhere near Brian Cook. Like, if we're going to try to do something, it's maybe in that strong side linebacker spot.
Yeah. No,
because that's where we feel we have, at least a little bit of an advantage, or we're going to run that way because it's the opposite side. of where Cook was usually. Like a lot of people are looking at their tackle numbers being down. I wonder how much of that is just the ball being spread a lot more than it was last year.
Ball didn't go to the boundary much at all last year.
Ever.
So they're in a great spot to make tackles at all different levels, at all different spaces on that field side of the football. So they were way more involved last year.
Yeah.
Not that they're not play like that's the thing. Like people like it's easy for when you're like a corner and you're like, oh, I'm not getting targets. Like that's good. And like kind of like the less you see of them, the better. Like they're playing. That's not the same for like linebackers and stuff. It's so just because they might not be making as many tackles doesn't mean they aren't playing as good. And the ball is not going to be coming over there as much as it did before. So they're both playing well. They're both doing their jobs. They're not making mistakes. That's what you want them to do. And the plays are going to come because they're just Ty and Deshaun are both great football players.
All right. The over and under on Ben's touchdown total.
What's he at right now?
I didn't do my homework on that.
Anybody want 2 dogs for however long it takes for Kelly to get out of the hospital? Because every noise that happens outside, they believe is Kelly coming home.
Ben's at 13.
Okay. So 13 through 5, 7 left. We set the over under.
Des threw 30 last year on the dot.
I think 30 is the place to set the over under. I'll go over.
I'm guessing 32.
Yeah, if we're doing 30.5, I'll take the over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aaron?
I say that ends up over that.
If we're doing 32.5, now
You
we're
got
getting
the under.
interesting. Now we're getting interesting.
31, let's 31.5.
I'm still going over. I think there's going to be a
I'm still
game where
going
like
over.
Ben just goes wild and throws for like 5 or 6. Might be this weekend.
Could very well be South Florida.
Saw what Holton Ahlers did. Like
Holton Ahlers went for 6.
460 and 6 touchdowns.
Sheesh.
It's a good day.
Not a bad day.
Royer, specifically for you, in your opinion, how much is the running game missing Renfro? I know we did talk about that earlier.
I think it is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I keep it's like he hasn't played all season, so it's like you're like, oh, it's no, like this line is like technically like normal for this year, and I keep forgetting that. Like, just imagine like your best lineman not being there. Like he was their best lineman. So
we don't have to imagine it; it's happening.
Yeah,
and Gavin is playing a position he's never played in real life before.
Well, and the fact that he's looking so good there too, to the point where it's like, if you pop him over to guard where he could,
where he should be playing,
right?
Yeah,
just takes it to a whole different level.
I think that's going to be interesting next year. Who plays center and who plays left guard? I don't think it's guaranteed that it's Renfro at center.
Really?
And you would bump Renfro
like
out
maybe
to
with
left
the
guard?
injury history, you move him to left guard and give him a little bit less of a load physically.
I can't see Renfro letting that happen. I just see him coming back and being healthy and going at it.
Yeah, I'm just from a.
No, I know what you mean. It's fair. They moved Metz in. He did.
Kelsey did it.
Yeah.
Kelsey made that move between guard and center while he was here.
Yeah.
Like
it's pretty interchangeable is what those guys say, that you need to know how to play right, left, and center. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe as a way to like give his body a little bit of a break, like
that's a good point.
Gavin has handled center really well. Like it gives you an interesting option.
Yeah.
I think is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That, maybe it is something that they take a look at in spring ball or in camp next year. I don't know. I think options are good, especially along the offensive line. Having depth and versatility and the ability to do different things is a very good thing. I think Jake would be a monster at guard.
Yeah, he would be. He's a great player. They're missing him for sure.
Yeah. And he's a great leader.
Yeah, he is. Great person.
Bath299 asks, any thought as to why the lack of screen game? Also feels like Ben is more of a rhythm passer. When we try and force the run game, do you think it hurts Ben?
I don't think it hurts Ben. I think Ben
either.
is just a pure talent. I think he's ready to throw the ball at all times from under center or in the gun. I think we need the run game. We need to know that. We need to get back to an improved run. We need to improve the run game to get it back on the levels that it's been in the past couple of years. I think it's going to be big for our offense. It's going to be big for our passing game because we can't have Ben back there throwing the ball 50 times. We need a good running game.
Oh, God, Dave. Dave just bringing the thunder. 19 FCS teams are ranked higher than USF in the Sagarin ratings.
Wow.
FCS, like Kennesaw State
Right.
type teams. 19 are rated above USF in the
USF should have beaten Florida.
And that's with USF playing a game they should have beaten Florida. That is holy cow bad.
That's the football portion of the mailbag.
It was a big one today.
Moving to the basketball. Cut out some of the questions asking about progress for players.
I haven't seen it.
Right now, it's really, really tough to say. Kindog202 asks, I assume there are not going to be any exhibition games this year or secret scrimmages in the works.
Yes, there are secret scrimmages in the work. One of them, maybe Mick Walker could cover. I don't know. The other one, Aaron, you might be able to cover.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I
need any more
don't know how I couldn't be any more like blatant about those two.
That wasn't even at this point. They're not even secret,
right?
I'd be really interested in the one that Mick Walker could cover.
I would too. I think that would be a really good one. More really good one to watch.
More telling than anything out this way. Bearcat Law JD asks, what does the big man rotation look like going into the start of the season? How does this staff find minutes for Kalu, Odie, Vic, Sage, Hensley, and Reed if Davenport plays the 4? Is this most difficult roster decision the staff has had to make in terms of who plays? Can Nolly or Newman see action at the 4 in a smaller lineup in which the 2 through 4 are interchangeable?
Potentially. I know that is Hensley and Reed are going to be at the 4. Kalu, Odie, and Vic, I think. Kalu can play some 4 or 5. Odie can play some 4 or 5. I think they spend most of their time at the 5. Vic's health is the question mark, but that has not been a major issue this offseason for the first time. So I think they're feeling a little bit better about Vic's longevity and ability to kind of to play a little bit more. We'll see. I mean, a lot of that is going to be determined over this month. Like, guys are going to have to battle for those spots as we go through practice and heading into the season. Nolly at the 4, he doesn't like it. He feels like he's better suited at the 3. I do think he's bought in enough that if they say we're going to run more of a 4 guard, like we're going to need you to guard a 4, but we're going to play you more as a 3. I think you can get buy-in from him on that, but I think that's a fine line. You better make sure it works. This is a guy that talked about the negative energy he carried last season at Memphis. So that is a fine line. Like, whether you like it or not, that is Royer, playing guys out of position. You should have been a quarterback, but they played you at linebacker.
Yeah, I don't think Dez would have had the career he had here if it wasn't for that. So you're welcome, Dez. I would have stole the show.
Or Jerome Ford, who would have been stealing the carries at running back.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right?
So, yeah, that's the basketball portion of the mailbag. Just, again, because most people are asking about progress, and when you're only running defensive stuff, it's really hard to say. Aaron, I want to thank you for the AAC recap on YouTube. Watching your soul leave your body during the show gives me great joy. Thanks.
Was it more fun to do with Dave than me?
I mean, it's like the same. Neither of you care. For Dave's only.
You don't care.
Well, no one cares. That's the thing, right?
Oh yeah, we care.
But
Skins, it's happening next year, baby.
Dave's whole response is, yeah, they stink. Okay, thanks. That's an in-depth coverage brought only from Dave Simone. But yeah, I mean, nobody wants to cover it. The people who get paid to cover it don't want to cover it. Like, there's no hope for that conference. Christ almighty. I'm not covering it next year. Rapid fire. Pan, regular, or thin crust pizza?
Regular. Hand tossed, if that's the option.
Mostly regular hand tossed. But I think hand tossed is considered regular, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I'd hope.
Pan.
I like a good pan. I like a good thin. Like
I like a good New York style.
When I think regular, I think New York style, Roy.
Yeah,
Pick it up, you fold it,
New York style is regular.
That's one of those.
What do you think is regular, Brent?
Just like Papa John's pizza. Right. That's
Day
regular.
of Reckoning pizza.
Oh my god. Right. Proctology exam or Aaron having to do AAC recaps next year. Neither's happening.
Aaron doing
proctology exam.
I appreciate you, Royer.
I really want Aaron to talk about that riveting, like Rice, North Texas meeting that has.
I know. I'm excited.
Last of all, what's your favorite donut? I like a good Boston cream.
Long chocolate.
Blueberry donut. I love blueberry.
Like a blueberry cake donut?
Yeah.
Like a glazed blueberry donut.
Oh,
okay.
Little cake donut. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the cake variety. Maybe a.
Although Brent, like the peanut butter fluff.
Yeah.
At Titus.
We found out about
pretty undefeated.
Brent's affinity for cake last week anyway.
I do like that. That cake.
Follow-up question. Assuming the YouTube money tree continues to grow and Chad starts a spin-off of the show Drunk History and makes it about UC, what is the first episode? Who is the guest host? And what story are they telling?
Oh,
it would have to be a Kelsey brother.
Sure.
Those are the two most legendary drinkers in the history of the program. Although I've heard Connor Barwin was right up there with Jason. As the ultimate, I would give $1 million to have a camera crew that followed around Barwin and Jason Kelsey for their drinking escapades over 4 years on campus.
Hey, I'm gonna promote myself here. I'm just gonna ask some of the guys. Is all I'm gonna say. Don't sleep on 3-5. He can put them back with the best of them.
Here we go.
I'm not doubting you at all. I got in any way, shape, or form. I just heard Kelsey and Barwin, it was like a beer every 5 minutes type deal when those two went out and got after it. I know both of those guys fairly well. They're both nuts.
Love that.
Nuts.
Travis one talking about the Duke game and how it just murdered everyone's hearts when he galloped into the end zone and then the touchdown afterwards. Everyone's betting hearts.
The ultimate bad beat.
The ultimate bad beat. I think to kind of throw it a little weird, like you and Quadri Moore, you might have to add in some additional things on top of
I don't
that
think
episode.
Quadri Moore's weapon of choice was alcohol.
I know. I was gonna say it might have to be like the 420 edition or something like that.
I don't think alcohol was the defining substance of Quadri Moore's collegiate experience.
Squad, baby.
I don't know. A show on Drunk History having the general of the previous regime might be fascinating. Just saying. That's how we call it. That's how we move it along. And the last question in the mailbox comes from DMonk55. Can we prank call someone live? What?
Yeah, we can.
I mean, it would have to be on our phone into a microphone. The only way we can get them in here is if we send them a link and they click on it and then agree to come into the room.
We'll workshop that with Ryan and see if we can't get somebody.
You're gonna have to do some research here.
Like we could prank Luke, but the problem is if I prank Luke, it's gonna be my phone number, and then like how would I get him to talk to Ryan in the process?
I mean, it would have to be someone else's number.
Yeah.
Prank call. I could
And
prank
then
call
Ryan
Luke Fickle.
talking to him.
And you'd have to have permission from Zach and all sorts of hoops that you have to
Oh
go
yeah,
through.
we'd get in so much trouble.
Man.
I mean,
We
former
almost the
player
Rocket Truth guys almost got us in trouble on Thursday.
For what?
with what?
They had Bari on, but they didn't like clear it with anybody.
What do they need to
So
clear?
they just like in order to have somebody on the network, we have to at least go through the SID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, yeah. I couldn't
He'll
just
say
have
yes
you
more
on.
often
You
than
think
not,
I could
yeah.
just have you on at any point while you were a player?
Yeah, I thought so.
Now, you would have probably been like, it wouldn't have been hard. Like,
That's
can we
the
have
number.
Royer on? Right?
I mean, I
Yeah.
think technically you can, but it would be frowned
No.
upon.
I can't
No.
because I get yelled at. I get
Right.
yelled at.
Right, it'd be frowned upon, yeah. But like I mean, at IU, I remember the whole big thing was like there was a radio show that had Victor Oladipo on, and they immediately got taken off the whole entire student radio station because they were like,
Right.
"That's not how you go about doing this." So
Right.
it's
I
it's just
like the
frowned upon.
access that we have. I'm not trying to fuck it up.
Yeah,
So like I had when they tweeted it out, they're like, we got Bari on tonight. I'm like, oh shit. I had to go behind the scenes, contact Zach, be like, hey, Soppy and the boys are having Soppy and Statty Daddy are having Jabari on.
There you
returning
go.
guest Jabari.
And he's like, who's Statty Daddy? And I'm like, that's a long story.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, but yeah, it worked out. It was a really good interview. Jabari's great. Like Jabari's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, he is.
Such a good dude.
Yeah, his line on the
Best.
Let It Fly was one of the best.
All right, 2:15. Let's
Yep.
get us
All right.
out of here.
That's the mailbag.
Homecoming week, big time weekend. By next week, 19 FCS teams ranked above. USF don't take them lightly, but it's a big weekend coming ahead and numerous reasons yet again. Anything else, guys? We're going to close this one out. We all good?
Nope, I got
All
nothing.
right.
Tomorrow night, 9:00. Aaron, you maybe?
That's already been sent to me. They want to go at 9.
Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Tomorrow night. There you go. PTP. Lock it in. But
I might have to compete. I might have to go live.
I think we're going through. We're going to try
we
and combine forces. Yeah.
We might be live on the Bearcat Journal YouTube page as well for 9:00 tomorrow night.
okay, there we go.
All
Smart idea. Smart idea. As the thinking face might have told you, stay tuned. But anyway, big shout out as well to Danco Transmission, Danco Joe, as always. Big thank you to them. But for my guys, my partners, Mr. Aaron Smith, Mr. Chad Brendel, and of course Ryan Royer. I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!